stay in one place. Just like a monkey. You can't get a monkey to be a yogi or to be a Buddhist and to sit in one place. The monkey's all over the place. He'll be quiet for a little bit, but he's going to be in this branch, that branch. And this is the way Chanchalam is this the way Lakshmi is, just always moving about. I better put a microphone to it now. Get some sound effects for the next play. Yes. So we're just demigods. They flex their muscles. They are always out there showing who's in charge, and oftentimes they are in charge. Vishnu tends to favor them, but the problem with the demigods, like any conditioned soul, is that they get comfortable. They get complacent. You know, complacency is a very bad. It's one of your worst enemies. You know, when you get too relaxed, too comfy, cozy. And when one gets into that position, you get lethargic. And then those who are that you oppressed, or those who are subjugated, they now rise up to power by dint of their austerity. By the way, how is it in the temple room these days with the chill being on? It's a little bit on the cool side, right? But don't worry about it. I see some of you hovering around, the radiator. And of course, I guess it's okay because it's Radha, something to do with Radharani. So you're getting close to Radha, the Rad, getting close to the Rad. And then some of you are just, just tough it out and stay away from the Rad and just take a little bit of the chill. And you're willing to take up that tapasya, that little extra, like let's say, position that gives you some might and gives you some strength, right? I'm not saying that some of you are weak, I'm just saying some of you are just a little frail. That's all. All right. And we need to toughen up. And one thing you're going to learn about life is that you have to take on tapasya. My observation is that people that don't invite a little bit of self-discipline, they just become weak. That's all there is to it. You can see it in your neighborhood. The people who are kind of like lax and party on the weekend a lot, they just get very weak. They're loud, but they're weak. Does that make sense? They're loud, make lots of noise, make a fuss, but they're actually weak. They're showing a sign of weakness. Strength lies more in being quiet, fermi la bouche, keep your mouth zipped and open up when it's the right time to strike. I mean, the best martial artists are those who know, and they're trained well, to strike only when you should strike. Otherwise, avoid fighting as much as possible. I have a nephew, and he's changed jobs recently, but he was working at one high school, and whenever there's a little confrontation, he gets invited there. His name's Jordan, by the way. And he gets in there. He's expert at knowing how to take two groups or two people and get them to shush. Okay. And if there is a fight that is broken, he knows how to get in there and wedge his way in there. They call on him. That's his main job. That's a school. Can you believe it? All right. Confrontation, is just a concomitant factor of the material world. There's always fighting that goes on. And like we mentioned, the first troubled people were the demigods and the demons. They both vie for the same thing, and that is a good long life, the Amrita, the story of Mohini Murti and how she had the pot, what we call it, urn with all the ambrosial nectar that's supposed to make you live long, right? And so they're all looking for that, the fountain of youth. Has anybody ever heard about the fountain of youth? It's supposed to be found somewhere in the Caribbean or something like. Well, nobody ever found it. You're not really going to find it. In fact, Krishna makes it very clear in the material world. Abrahma bhuvana loka punar avarti norjuna. Mamu petya kondya punar janmat navijate. From the highest planet to the lowest planet, all are places of misery where there is repeated birth and death. And that holds true for the ant to the elephant. Okay? That's how Prabhupada said. And to the elephant, there's suffering, Or from Indra to the Indra Gopam. The Indra Gopam is supposed to be like the smallest form of life, very microscopic in size and just not having much strength. So everyone is suffering, going through the same thing, regardless of where you come from. Everyone is dying. Everyone is being born. That's the other thing. We forget about that other side of things. Speaking of who was just born, and the parents are going to die out of service to the young ones. Okay, Hare Krishna. Such a lovely family. Hare Krishna. Jai. Yeah, so I think this is important to look at. There's always battles going on, and we see that sometimes it's even necessary. Has anybody ever gone to the Mohawk Village? The Mohawk Village, which is near the, you've been there before? Yeah. And near Crawford Lake. That's an amazing lake, and we should the BA should go there one day. But at the Mohawk Village, we learned that oftentimes people in the different tribes, and they had different clans, the bear clan, the beaver clan, the turtle clan, fish clan, all that. But they had issues with each other. And sometimes they were like these imposing takeovers. They would come and loot. And one of the reasons they would come and just attack another group, because we need more, our pool for, what would you call it? Genetic pool is too small. So we have to go and steal a boy, or we have to steal a girl and bring them, and whether you like it or not, we need you guys, and in this way they're able to keep procreating and stay alive, basically. Like, they need each other. We need each other. And in one sense, the devatas need the demons, and the demons need the devatas, just to keep on their toes, Because let's say if you're too lax and there's no one there to, let's say, to shake you up a little bit. Like Canadians are upset about Trump, but, he's a shaker. And now Canadians are quite united. And then the stores, okay, Canadian owned, and now people are making, like, it's kind of united. It's done a good thing, so you need that to, even in our democratic system, which Prabhupada actually appreciated democracy, and Bhaktisiddhanta, his predecessor, he even wanted ISKCON to be run in a democratic way, and with a strong GBC body, and like an executive group strong, And the reason why it is because you have the right wing and the left wingers. I don't know if I told you, but on my way back from India, I saw the film about how when they have to vote for a new pope, when the pope is getting older, and it's an amazing system. It's democratic. And in the film, which was nicely rendered, and which is clean, there's no sex scenes, so monks like us can look at it. There was definitely the liberals, and there were conservatives. It's very obvious, And so it was just very interesting to see how that is. And it's better to have that than just to have a nasty dictatorial situation, okay? So let's say, for instance, one devotee had written to Prabhupada and said, we're very troubled in our temple, not sure what to do. There's people have differing opinions. And Prabhupada wrote back a letter. It's a famous letter. I think it was to Atreya Rishi, whom Prabhupada considered to be a good man with money, managing money. He said, there are the left-wing gopis and there are the right-wing gopis. What do you do about that? Because people have different opinions. Prabhupada was basically, let's say, resolving the issue of accommodating both by saying that as long as Krishna is in the center, the left wing gopis are trying to please Krishna, and the right wingers are doing the same as well, right? So, in fact, when you think of a bird, pull a bird out of the sky. How about a dove? I like doves. Anybody like doves? Okay, you know their sound, their beautiful sound in the morning. So if you grab a dove and you look at it's got two wings. Now, we know the story of the Ramayana when Ravana came to attack Jatayu, the vulture. He cut off a wing, and then he could just flap. He couldn't fly anymore, you know. And then he de-winged the other one, and then he was finished pretty much. His power was gone. So in the same way, like a bird requires left and right wing to fly, you know. So even in ISKCON, we have issues, and wherever there's issues, you usually need a box of tissues. But we know that when it comes to discussions on the upper level, or whatever level you may have of administration, you have to hear two sides, and you have to try to come in the middle. You have to try the truth always is in the middle. So if we keep that, even the Buddhists, they talk like that. The truth, it's in the middle road. It's not this road or that road, it's in the middle road. So just keep that in mind. If I was to take a walk over to Mahabhagavat's place, and I would, from the temple, I'd try to find the middle road. Okay. I know that I can take Highway 2 and go all the way to Montreal and then zip over, or I can go to the Windsor side. But I should just find out what's the quickest way to go. Check with Google or God, one of the two, or both maybe, because you got to hit in the middle. Then I'll find out the route. So this is the point. Go down the middle. Middle means mode of goodness. Even if you have a mode of goodness culture, you're going to find that rajas will pop up. And wherever there's rajas, there will be conflict, there will be fighting. You can't get away with it. Just like, say, if you analyze yourself, I'm a peaceful person, I'm a good devotee. Everyone tells me that I am. But then, but inside, there's conflict, oh, should I take that extra samosa? Or, something along those lines. Oh, that is very nice devotee. He's also told to be a good devotee, but I'm jealous of him. He looks more handsome than I do, or whatever it is. He's got a better looking shika. There's we have struggle inside, and it can be on the subtle level. It can also be on the physical level, where we have struggles. When we have the viruses, whether big or small. I know I have one little toe and it's got a fungus infection. I'm trying to fight it like a fierce warrior. I feel like, oh, Bhishma, empower me to get rid of this. So the thing is that we have issues, on all levels of conflict. And providence comes in and kind of slams everything. Providence basically is Krishna, and Krishna will resolve all the problems. It's called death, by the way. And we live in the Marita. We are living in the world of death, the place of death. That's totally confirmed now. All right. Yeah. And, death is okay because it's the end of a chapter in a book, and then a new chapter begins, Like, imagine if you had a book, like the old style, like this, instead of the, there's no, it's an endless thing. There's no like breakage. There's no like chapter titles where you can, capture themes. Themes are really important, And even Prabhupada would bring out themes, from a verse from the Bhagavatam, say, for instance, he would actually say in the purport, there is, this verse is significant. And then he'd say, that verse is significant. And then, he would use that as a theme on which to speak on. So themes are important. Just like, say, our team that's been working on the Rath Yatra, we always felt there should be a theme every year, instead of the same old, same old. Those chariots again, that same song again. Maybe we can highlight, it could be the year of the lion, and then have a big float. We were in that, doing that. We had a lion float. And then one year he had a peacock. So people thrive on themes. And you will notice this too in life itself. When you're a baby, like was demonstrated, you're a little bit rambunctious, and you like a lot of attention. So the theme is what? Get attention. And those are formative years. So you are learning a lot. Then you've got, you enter into, say, something called puberty a little bit later on. And that's a whole other theme. Hare Krishna. Well, whirlwind. Woo, what's going on here? Part of the growing pains of life. And then once you got your feet on the ground a little bit and gain more experience, because it is the best time to get your education in, because you can retain it better. If you ask an old person, can you recite this? Can you memorize this verse? Somebody like 80 years old. you know, it's almost impossible. But so it's the time to absorb, the years of being like a sponge. These are all themes that go along. Then finally, you get to a position where you're at the prime of your life. You got physical strength, you've got sharpness, you've got some experience, or you're gaining some. And this is where you start to build your empire. You get your company together, and then you get a house in the suburbs. And then after a while, you get another house, but it's not in the burbs at all. It's in Muskoka, right? And you get a yacht, and you just build up your empire. And these are very much the productive years, the years of passion. And so there's a theme there, a theme of productivity. Okay. Then one day you're lifting something. Oh, 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 oh. You're 40. 40, only 40. And then slowly it creeps up on you. It's a new theme, starting to break down, the breakdown period. And it's another theme that you have to live by and accept. So you have to be careful about how you lift from here on, right? And it goes on. And then maybe a visit to the doctor a little bit more frequently than before, and to the hospital, surgery on this part or that part. It's like repairing and then despairing after. That's the next theme. There's no, you can't get out of the repair. It doesn't work anymore. After a while, you just have to say it goes. So then the last theme is meditating, resolving, praying, letting go, surrender. That's a natural theme for a human being. For a human being, the area where I come from, which is in southwestern Ontario, and it's a lovely place. Very low lying. Everything was swamp, and the Europeans came and they drained it and made it fertile, so you could grow sweet corn and all kinds of other wonderful things. Yeah, so there'll be these creeks and lakes and swamps, and you have these carps. They're like this big. They're really gross. They are really gross, and they stink. Do I have any? Is there anybody here who will, let's say, agree with me that fish stink? Yeah, right. Thank you. Okay, in general, yeah. So, anyways, what they do is they're in the water, a larger body of water in a swamp, and then they come to a creek, and then the creek gets finer, smaller, more and more narrow, and then they get to a little bit of the land. They can feel the land, and they go and they just keel over and die, and that's it. And then some bird might come and do you know what. So it's like there's some whales. There's a lot of fish who do that. Uh, we went to Pelee Island once, and there was this little catfish, and it went like this, and there were a bunch. We had families there. One of the children was there. The catfish went under the legs of this little boy, and then the catfish was trying to get to the sand, to the beach, and yet the water kept pushing him in, and then finally he kept pushing to the end, to the beach, and then just lied down and died. That's it. There was no mantras. Of course, devotees should have chanted for him. Maybe we did. I can't remember that part of it. But for those outside of the human species, they don't have much of a time for contemplation and deliberation, on the level of being peaceful and surrendering. It's not part of their life. But that definitely is a big theme in Prabhupada's speeches. Everyone says lectures, but it's a weird term for me, lectures. That's what they do in the university. Prabhupada's talks, Prabhupada's speaking, Prabhupada's class, that I find a little more favorable, but do as you like. It's a free country, at least until America takes over. Okay, and they will never do that, so we will fight. Okay. So the thing is that the theme that is quite common is that when Prabhupada speaks, you're human, you're different. We don't have to say we may have dominion over the other species. It doesn't mean you have to have a superiority complex. It just simply means that you have the ability to use some parts of your brains that other animals don't use. Okay? And basically, we can say we have a bit of a monopoly. Just like we have a monopoly on hate and destruction, we also have a monopoly on the other side. It's true. To let go, to go for peace, to go for tranquility, and to go for meditating on the Supreme Lord's form and his name and so on, like that. And his prasadam too. Okay. Yeah. So that's a theme. Another theme that I find very interesting in the books is that a king has been ruling for some time. It's time for him to retire. Uh-oh, what am I going to do? I don't have any children. I don't have any sons, especially. And then, he calls for the sadhus to come in, the munis and the rishis come in. And then some kheer is made, and then he administers to the wife, to the queen. And then the queen, lo and behold, wow, yeah, an avatar comes through the birth canal. Boom, Haribol. To solve all the problems. So that's very much a common theme, succession planning. That has become a common theme for our leaders in the movement. When we started the movement, 60s, no worry, we're all young, spriteful. 70s, no problem, we're supermen and Wonder Women, and everything's good. 80s, okay, there were some struggles. We had some major. Prabhupada had now left. In the late 70s, we were still running on the Prabhupada power, the residual purity of Prabhupada. But then the 80s come along and says, oh my God, I think we might have to excommunicate a few people. They're really off track, And so the movement changed. It had its ups and downs. And that's kind of what makes a movement bona fide, when there's struggle after a great person leaves, the founder, the instigator. It's almost like qualifies you. You're going to live because you've gone through everything already in the beginning, So just it was back in, not so long ago. We're 50 years old. ISKCON was 50, and devotees were celebrating it. And it's time to debrief. It's time to look, how are we doing, And one of our God brothers, he relayed to it like this. He said, well, we've gone through a lot of ups and downs. We've gone through struggles. So I think we're going to be okay. We have schools. We have children. And now I'm happy to say that we have young people who are really into it. Hare Krishna. We have people who are into the kirtan. They live for kirtan. I know some young boys in our community says, listen, if it wasn't for me playing kirtan, I would be lost. If I if I didn't learn the mridanga. Even one boy came yesterday. What's his name? Anish. Does anybody know Anish? He's kind of a cool guy, but a little bit lost. Is he a relative? Sorry. Oh, you're a student. Okay. Yeah, he's wonderful. He's quite wonderful. He comes from a solid background, but he did get a little messed up here and there in the due course. But he's swinging back up, and he's doing good. And now he's playing mridanga, and that's what's keeping him in. So I just want to say, we're renting churches now, Peterborough, uh, Stratford, Kitchener, Barrie, Mississauga, Durham, where I was just yesterday. And all right. And when you talk to some of the people, I remember when we started in Milton, and they were surprised how many families we have, how many kids we have, and we don't have that many kids. For years, it's 2 children you have. It's a good start, right? Yeah, and so our Christian friends, and they are our friends. They're amazed that we have so many people coming, and we like with young families and elders too. Like everybody's important, isn't it? When you got somebody like Rob, look at that bright kid. Look at him. Oh, shiny. And and you have the seniors, and they're also involved in whatever they can do. So this is important that because when Prabhupada was with us, he was our grandfather. By age, he was our grandfather, not our father. He was our grandfather. And there was no father. You understand what I'm saying? In terms of age range. And there was us, we were 18 to 25, the people who joined in the beginning. And then there was Prabhupada in the 70s, right? There's no generation in between. And so the younger ones had to fill in that gap. It took 20, 30 years to get in there, but we got in there. And, everyone's bearing children. So now we're on our 4th gen. We are fourth generation for some of us. So that's a good sign. We're going to stick around for a while. Nobody's going to squelch us. So anyways, just to wrap it up, because I've been going on a little bit too long, and Karna Cinder's been hiding the clock for me, so I couldn't keep my eye. Yeah. The story of Bali, this fight that goes on. Bali's very wise, said, don't do this. Don't be aggressive. Our time will come. Our time will come. By providence. It's going to happen. It's just going to happen. Whatever is up will come down. What goes up must come down. Spinning wheel, gotta go round. Okay. Yeah, so that's it. It's the law of gravity, right? So that's what we can expect. We'll not always be on the top. We'll be down on the bottom. Even Muhammad Ali, he was the top, but he got defeated by providence. He got Alzheimer's, and he just couldn't. I guess too many blows at the head, even though he was the champ. So nobody's going to stay in power, physical power forever. But what we are recommending, and this is my closing line, is to be spiritually always tuned up. Okay, through sadhana, chanting, building up good relations. Okay, Hare Krishna. Okay, the universal form is showing itself over here. Mahabhagavat, go ahead.
Right, Maharaj, can you, the ISKCON and the disciplic succession is actually not a democracy, because we talk about authority, we talk about disobeying the orders of the spiritual master is an offense, and so on. So can you talk a little bit more about how, I understand what you're trying to say, but I just want to hear more about how that is, because it's not a democracy. You can't take the opinions of everybody to run ISKCON, for example. because then they would have all sorts of things in the temple.
Yeah, well, but you know, in democratic system, you discuss things, right? Like good Brahmins do, Brahmins and Kshatriyas getting together, and then you come to a decision, and then you follow that decision. Decision made, follow it. That's it.
So you mean collaborative, not democratic.
Yeah, well, that's what we mean by democratic. That's what I'm saying. I mean,
Democratic means will of the people, so the majority rules. Right?
but the will of the culture. We're not just talking about people outside. We're talking about the will of the devotees, right? And in particular, the senior devotees, the mature devotees. I mean, that's how the JBC was established by Bhakti Siddhanta. You know that on that.
But the GBC
thread.
is not, they are appointed by other GBC members. So in other words, it's not really a democracy because the will of the people or the like
Yeah,
Scott
but
Toronto cannot
but
elect a GBC.
but the people, let's say the leaders are supposed to represent the desires of the people, you know? And also the desires of the acharyas. Somehow you got to get it midway, you know. I mean, the job is to, you know, to protect people, to provide, and like listen. This is the big thing. Listen, you know, to another side. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam. You know, if you are in a culture where the people don't listen, then you're going to be destroyed. So we need to at least listen. You know, like there was a time when we didn't listen to the women enough. You know, it was just like a patriarchal, and the patriarchs are fine. You know, but you need to get the input from the Matajis too. Or let's say if ISKCON swings too much the other way, and it becomes like a women's lib thing, that's going to destroy another. That's also self-destructive. But we at least have to start to hear each other a little bit. You know, and that's the first of the 9 practices of devotional service. If you're hearing from a devotee, you're not hearing from a mundane person. You're hearing from someone who's got leading a regulated life. It's assumed. Anybody else? We're in the back.
Maharajji, these demons were once devotees, and because of the force of providence, they turned into demons. When we read the pastime of Jay and Vijay, it doesn't seem like out of punishment they were turned into demons, but it was Krishna's kind of leela
Direction,
he wanted
yeah.
to do. So sometimes this negativity or darkness also serves a divine purpose.
Mhm.
This mode of ignorance is also serving Krishna. I mean, devotion is a very complex thing if you look at them. It's not always about mode of goodness, but mode of ignorance is also pleasing him.
Yeah, in one way you can interpret it that way. Sure, mode of ignorance. I mean, we didn't sleep at night, we wouldn't be sitting here like this now. So yes, all these energies, the 3 energies, this Rajagun, Tamagun, Sattvagun, they're all important. They balance each other. And they, like Krishna describes in the Gita, they are vying for power, dominance, you know. But there has to be, the problem is in the world when people dealing with the 3 energies, they're not dealing with Sattvagun enough. There's not enough of that. Just like the police officer that came in today, right? He's a devotee, and yeah, your friend. Remember, he came today during japa after you left. He stepped in. You know, the police officer.
Oh,
And I told him, you know, we have a problem at the Rath Yatra. There's a lot of pickpockets, and he said, yeah, there's Toronto's getting, you know, like the whole world is. And I said, um, there's not enough education going on about the advantages of being peaceful and getting along with each other. And when you see what people view on the screen and everything, it's all about violence. The more you can get, the better it is. The more you're occupied and attentive. You know. So there's not enough sattvagun, and where there's sattvagun, there's wisdom, and that's not being shared either. There's not enough of it. That there's an imbalance. So people tend to gravitate to the mode of
It's not even given any importance.
no.
They're only
And,
losers.
and you know, it's kind of like if you look at pictures of people from the 60s, they're all, you know, like at the beach, they're all slim and trim and healthy looking. Now you go, everyone's fat. They've got earrings, they got all kinds of stuff and tattoos and everything all over the place. And it's hard to distinguish between the beach balls and the people. It's,
Please look very clean.
yeah, so it's and they're loud and and the music, it's totally dark. It's so obviously tamagu, so we are going down a dark side. And then what happens, because my parents, one thing I remember about my dad in particular, he talked about the war, how it was, and it wasn't nice. But it forced people to value each other more. Well, you have friends, you have family. And then after the war was over, it said, we better behave. No, don't waste any bread. Don't waste any crumbs. So people got more sattvic after that. Then the next generation, 2 generations down the road, they get lax again and they just forget and they just get lazy and they got confrontational, and it's totally hip to be to be angry and to use foul words. Like a lot of people, they don't know their English, their vocabulary is so minute. It's like there's every other word is 4 letter word and it's not Rama. It's, really, if you could compare it, was something else. Wow. The more gross you are, the more you'll get attention. Yeah. You had your hand up also.
Yes, Maharaj. So, by providence, in simple terms, is like Krishna's will.
Sure.
So, how
No,
providence?
nothing moves. Even the blade of grass moves without the will of the Lord.
So, how providence plays role in our day-to-day lives, or
Well, Krishna's in charge. He's time, right? He says he's time. Three times in the Bhagavad Gita, he says, I am time. Maybe more, but I know. Chapter 10, chapter 11 says, I am time, destroyer of the worlds. Of subduers, I'm time. In other words, of healers, I'm time. He also says, I am time, which is inexhaustible. It just keeps going. So we should see providence. We should see time when we look at the clock, which Cardinal Sindhu is protecting for us. So that is Krishna. That's Krishna, and I have to be on time. Right. Is that okay?
and so whatever
Whatever
bad
happens.
things happen,
Yeah.
even in like minute quantity, it's Krishna's will.
Well, Krishna's in charge. Let's put it that way. Mhm. But let's keep one thing in mind. He is giving us a free will. He's giving us freedom to choose, pick and choose how we're going to respond, how we're going to react to things. It's your choice. It's your move. So you better join the movement, the Hare Krishna movement, because Krishna's moved like a game of chess, and now it's your move. Is that okay?
So Krishna is in charge.
Yeah.
He gave us free will. So when we have desires which does not go along with the principles of Krishna,
Right. Then we're Maya.
and then Maya.
Yeah, simple as that. Like Bhakti Siddhanta was saying that Bhakti means to just cooperate with Krishna. If you want to put it in simple terms, Bhakti means to cooperate with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, SPG. Is it, wouldn't you say? There's, just to put it in real simplicity terms. Okay, anybody else? Some quickies? Because it's really time to see Krishna and to have darshan of Krishna in a very interesting form. Thank you, Mahabhagavad Prabhu, for coming every Sunday so loyally and and making that sabji, which is a little brownish and which has some flavor to it. I don't know what you did today, but it's pretty standard. Yeah. Anybody else? Thank you, devotees from Oakville. Thank you, devotees from, well,